Everything you've been taught about being separate from the world around you, about your thoughts being trapped inside your head, about reality being fixed and unchangeable. It's not true. And what science has discovered in the last few decades completely changes how reality actually works. Right now, there is an invisible connection linking everything in the universe. Not symbolically, not spiritually, but physically. A connection so deep that distance doesn't matter. Time doesn't matter, and separation doesn't exist. What's even more shocking is this. Your thoughts and emotions are part of that connection. They don't just happen inside you. They interact with the same field that shapes events, opportunities, and outcomes in your life. This isn't belief. This isn't philosophy. This is what quantum physics is now revealing. And once you understand how this connection works, and how your mind fits into it, you'll realize why some people seem to attract the right moments at the right time, while others stay stuck repeating the same cycles. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn will completely change how you see reality. Imagine this for a moment. You're holding two identical dice. You roll one here. Someone else rolls the other one on the opposite side of the planet. Now imagine that every time one die lands on a number, the other instantly responds. No delay, no signal, no explanation. Sounds impossible, right? Yet this is not science fiction. This is a real, proven phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, they remain connected no matter how far apart they are. Change the state of one, and the other responds instantly, even if they're separated by thousands of miles. No signal travels between them. No energy moves through space. It's as if distance simply doesn't exist. Experiments have confirmed this again and again. Reality at its deepest level is not local. It's interconnected. And here's the question most people never ask. If everything in the universe is made of energy and fundamental particles, why would your consciousness be excluded from this rule? Your thoughts are not confined to your brain. We've been conditioned to believe that thoughts only exist inside our heads. But science is revealing something very different. Consciousness doesn't stay locked inside the brain. It interacts with the very structure of reality. One of the most fascinating discoveries came from research showing that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field far stronger than the brain's. This field doesn't stop at your skin. It extends outward, interacting with the environment around you. Your emotions aren't private. Your intentions aren't silent. They radiate. And if thoughts are a form of energy, and energy never disappears, then where do your thoughts go once they're released? Quantum physics suggests they enter the same interconnected field that links all matter in the universe. That means when you think with emotional intensity, fear, desire, gratitude, love, you're not just experiencing an internal state. You're creating a vibration. And that vibration resonates with matching frequencies in the universe. This is why some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly, while others feel stuck repeating the same struggles over and over again. It's not luck. It's alignment. The experiment that changed everything. In the early 20th century, scientists stumbled upon something that shattered classical physics. The famous double-slit experiment showed that light behaves differently depending on whether it's being observed. When unobserved, light acts like a wave. When observed, it behaves like a particle. In other words, conscious observation influences physical matter. This discovery forced scientists to confront an uncomfortable truth. The observer is not separate from reality. Later, the idea of quantum entanglement pushed this even further. Two particles, once connected, remain connected forever, regardless of distance. This suggests that beneath the surface of what we see, reality operates as a single, unified system. And you are part of it. Your subconscious, the hidden transmitter. Here's where it becomes personal. Your mind isn't just thinking, it's transmitting. Your subconscious acts like a living antenna, constantly sending and receiving information from the surrounding energy field. But here's the catch. Most of this transmission doesn't come from your conscious thoughts. It comes from your subconscious programming, your deepest beliefs, the ones you rarely question. Determine the frequency you emit. If your subconscious is filled with fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, it broadcasts that signal non-stop. And the universe responds by reflecting it back to you as experiences. This is why people often feel like life is happening to them instead of with them. They don't realize they're participating in the process every second. Why childhood programming still controls your life. Research in neuroscience and biology shows that most of our daily behaviors are controlled by the subconscious mind. And the majority of that programming is installed before the age of 7. During early childhood, the brain operates primarily in a highly receptive state, similar to hypnosis. Whatever you hear, see, and experience becomes embedded as truth. Statements like, "Money is hard to make. You can't have everything. Life is a struggle. People always let you down." These ideas don't stay as opinions. They become instructions. So later in life, even if you consciously want success, love, or freedom, your subconscious keeps broadcasting the old signal. And reality keeps responding accordingly. This is why people set goals, feel motivated, and then somehow sabotage themselves. It's not lack of willpower. It's conflicting frequencies. The loop that keeps people stuck. Have you ever noticed this pattern? You decide to change. You feel inspired. Things start moving. Then suddenly, obstacles appear. Money issues, relationship problems, doubt. Most people see this as failure, but it's not. It's feedback. When you begin shifting your internal frequency, the universe tests whether that change is real. If you react with fear, you fall back into the old vibration. If you stay aligned, something powerful happens. Reality adjusts. Why emotion matters more than thought. Here's one of the most important truths you'll ever hear. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you feel. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create frequency. Frequency shapes experience. You can say you want abundance, but if thinking about money fills you with anxiety, your signal is still scarcity. When you generate the emotional state of already having what you desire, gratitude, confidence, calm, your subconscious begins to accept that reality as true. And when the subconscious changes, everything changes. The beginning of real alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and subconscious beliefs align, something shifts. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities appear. People enter your life at exactly the right time. Not because of luck, but because your frequency has changed. You stop reacting to life and start moving with it. And once you experience this, there's no going back. Now let's go deeper, because understanding this connection intellectually is only the beginning. The real transformation happens when you learn how to reprogram the signal you're sending. Most people try to change their lives from the outside in. They change jobs. They change relationships. They change locations. But the inner frequency stays the same. And because the signal hasn't changed, reality eventually reorganizes itself back into familiar patterns. That's why lasting change always feels so difficult for most people. They're trying to override subconscious programming with conscious effort. And the subconscious always wins. Why the subconscious is so powerful. Your subconscious mind doesn't reason or analyze. It doesn't debate logic. It simply accepts repetition and emotion as truth. Whatever you consistently feel to be real becomes real to it. That's why habits form so easily. That's why emotional memories last so long. And that's why old patterns feel automatic. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, keep you consistent. The problem is, most people are being consistent with an outdated version of themselves, the gateway state where change becomes easy. There is a specific mental state where the subconscious becomes accessible. This happens when the brain shifts into slower frequencies, the same state you experience just before falling asleep or right after waking up. In this state, the critical mind relaxes, and when that happens, new instructions can be installed. This is why meditation is not about relaxation alone. It's about access. When you regularly enter this state and visualize your desired reality as if it already exists, the subconscious begins to update its internal map, not because you're forcing it, but because it believes you. Visualization is not daydreaming. Most people visualize incorrectly. They imagine what they want while still emotionally feeling like they don't have it. That reinforces lack. Effective visualization works in reverse. You don't visualize to get the feeling. You visualize from the feeling. You step into the emotional state of already living the reality you desire. Confidence, gratitude, certainty. These emotions tell the subconscious, this is who we are now. And once that identity shifts, behavior follows automatically. Why action still matters. Here's something many people misunderstand. Alignment is not passive. Your actions must match your internal frequency. If you say you trust abundance but act from fear, avoiding opportunities, hesitating, doubting, the subconscious receives conflicting information, and it defaults to the old program. Aligned action doesn't mean reckless action. It means acting from certainty instead of desperation, from confidence instead of fear. Every small aligned action reinforces the new identity, and identity is what shapes reality. When the universe pushes back, now here's the part that confuses almost everyone. When you start shifting your frequency, things don't always get easier immediately. Sometimes they get harder. Unexpected problems show up. Old patterns resurface. People test your boundaries. This is not punishment. This is calibration. Reality is checking whether your new signal is stable. If you respond the old way, fear, doubt, frustration, the system assumes the change was temporary. If you respond with calm certainty, the new frequency locks in. This is why persistence matters more than intensity. The difference between desire and certainty. There's a subtle but powerful distinction most people miss. Desire says, I want this, but I don't have it. Certainty says, this is already unfolding. Reality responds to certainty. When you constantly check for results, worry about timing, or question whether it's working, you send mixed signals. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means removing resistance. When you stop trying to control how and when, the system can work efficiently. Detachment is the final key. Detachment is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. When you're detached, you trust the process completely. You act, you align, you feel, and then you release. This state creates a clean signal, no interference, no doubt. And that's when reality responds the fastest. Why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude places you in the emotional state of already receiving. It's one of the strongest frequencies you can generate. When gratitude becomes your default state, you signal abundance without effort, and abundance responds to itself. This is why people who are genuinely grateful often attract more, not because they're lucky, but because they're aligned. The illusion finally breaks. At some point, something clicks. You stop seeing life as random. You stop feeling separate. You stop feeling powerless. You realize you are not observing reality. You are participating in it. Every thought, every emotion, every belief, all of it matters. And once you understand this, you can no longer live unconsciously. Ancient wisdom, modern science. Long before modern physics, ancient traditions spoke of an invisible field connecting all things. Different cultures used different names, but the idea was the same: a unified source, a shared intelligence, a field of information. Today, science is finally catching up. Reality is not a collection of isolated objects. It's a living system, and consciousness is not separate from it. You are not in the universe. You are of it. Why some connections feel instant? Have you ever met someone and felt like you already knew them? Or thought of someone right before they contacted you? Or sensed something before it happened? These experiences are not random. They are signs of resonance. When frequencies match, connection happens effortlessly, beyond logic, beyond distance. The final shift. Most people wait for proof before they believe. But this system works in reverse. You believe first. You align first. You act first. And then reality follows. Not because of blind faith, but because the signal has changed. The choice that changes everything. Right now, you have a choice. You can continue reacting to life based on old programming, or you can become intentional about the frequency you emit. The power you've been searching for was never external. It was always within you, waiting to be activated. If this message resonated with you, comment below. I'm ready to awaken my true power. And if you want to continue this journey, subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning. Before we close this message, there is one final piece that brings everything together. This is the part most people never reach, not because it's complicated, but because it requires a complete shift in how you relate to reality. Up to now, you've learned that your thoughts influence your emotions. Your emotions create a vibrational signal, and that signal interacts with the invisible field that connects everything. But knowing this isn't enough. The final transformation happens when you stop trying to force reality and instead step fully into trust. Why control blocks manifestation? From the moment we're young, we're taught to control outcomes, plan everything, predict everything, protect yourself from uncertainty. But at the quantum level, control creates resistance. When you obsess over how something should happen, you narrow the field of possibilities. When you worry about when it will happen, you signal impatience and lack. When you constantly check for results, you reinforce the idea that it hasn't happened yet, and the universe responds accordingly. This is why surrender is not weakness. It's intelligence. What true surrender really means. Surrender does not mean doing nothing. It means doing everything from alignment, not fear. You set the intention. You align your emotional state. You take inspired action. And then you let go. You trust that the unseen mechanisms of the universe are already arranging what you cannot yet see. This creates what can only be described as flow. When you're in flow, effort feels lighter. Decisions feel clearer. Timing feels almost perfect. Not because life becomes easy, but because you stop fighting it. The state of vibrational certainty. There is a state where doubt disappears, not because you force yourself to believe, but because belief becomes natural. This is vibrational certainty. In this state, you no longer chase outcomes. You no longer fear delays. You no longer question your worth. You know, and that knowing is felt, not thought. When you reach this state, reality reorganizes itself around you. Opportunities appear without strain. People show up unexpectedly. Solutions emerge at exactly the right moment. From the outside, it looks like luck. From the inside, it feels inevitable. Acting as if is not pretending. Many people misunderstand this idea. Acting as if does not mean pretending or denying reality. It means choosing to embody the identity of the person who already lives in alignment. If you were confident, how would you speak? If you were successful, how would you decide? If you were at peace, how would you respond? When your actions reflect that identity, your subconscious receives confirmation. And when the subconscious accepts a new identity, it adjusts perception, behavior, and opportunity automatically. Why resistance feels like suffering? Resistance is the gap between who you are being and who you're trying to become. When you resist uncertainty, you suffer. When you resist change, you suffer. When you resist letting go, you suffer. But when you align with the present moment, even if it's imperfect, something shifts. You stop fighting reality. And reality stops fighting you. The hidden power of consistency. Transformation doesn't require intensity. It requires consistency. Small daily alignments compound faster than occasional breakthroughs. A few minutes of presence. A few moments of gratitude. A conscious shift in reaction. These small choices quietly change your frequency. And frequency determines direction. The moment you stop seeking. Here's the paradox that surprises everyone. The moment you stop searching for power outside yourself, you realize it was never missing. The moment you stop trying to become someone else, you remember who you already are. You were never disconnected. You were never powerless. You were never separate. You were simply unaware. Integration, bringing it into your life. So here's how you integrate everything you've learned. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Feel your emotions without resistance. Choose alignment over reaction. Act with intention, not fear. Trust the process, even when results are unseen. Do this consistently, not perfectly, and something profound happens. Your inner world stabilizes. And when that happens, the outer world follows. A final reminder. You don't need to convince the universe. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to align. Because the universe doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. And coherence begins within you. If this message spoke to you, comment below. I'm ready to awaken my true power. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because this journey doesn't end here. It's only just beginning. And now that you see the connection, you can never unsee it.